It's spreading. Chaz Chop is bi-coastal now. The LARP, the live action role play, is spreading. We now have Chaz and we have Bahaz. No, Blaz. That's what it is. Blaz. No, Bahaz. That's what. It's very hard to keep all of it because they keep changing their name too, but I think it currently is Bahaz, the Black House Autonomous Zone. And the Black House Autonomous Zone is all the way in Washington, D.C., right across the way from the White House. They've now taken over and vandalized that historic church, St. John's Church, that President Trump walked over to and held the Bible up. They've vandalized it now. They've sprayed their name, BHAZ, on the church, and they are running roughshod over law and order there with total impunity. You now have examples in this area of the rioters, the peaceful protesters, screaming at the cops. And the screams have a racial overtone to them. So in one example, you have a black man yelling at a black woman, saying very insulting things. The black man is a rioter. The black woman is a police officer. Take a listen to this disgusting diatribe.
If you still want a mask, this.
You want a mask?
Call me.
Oh, okay. She don't
I tried to give her ancestors are upset with her.
You know,
she needed to have like a whole self-internal work being done.
It's a whole pandemic.
She needs to work through that trauma that has her out here, that internalized trauma.
All Black Lives Matter.
You know, your ancestors got to be upset with you right now, sis. If you want some healing,
remember that we can remember your partners, not even looking.
So as this dirtbag is spewing this bile at this woman, you can see she's just kind of taking it, but she doesn't seem happy. It doesn't seem like she's having a nice time. And this is a common theme I see with all these leftist protests, is it's these dirtbag men saying vile things to women because I guess worries about sexism have gone totally out the window. And they have gone out the window. They've gone out the window in part, actually, because of feminism, because of this idea that men and women are exactly the same, and so men shouldn't treat women in any sort of special way. Well, they don't. They get violent with them. They say disgusting things to them. They follow them to where they park their cars in their driveway and film them. Disgusting, disgusting stuff. But it takes on an even weirder racial element when they can't do two things at once. They can't fight sexism and racism. I guess they have to pick. It's a little schizophrenic. But then in the name of fighting racism, you now have white leftists screaming at black cops in defense of black people who they're screaming at. Take a listen.
When you take off your uniform, are you afraid of police?
I have a question for you. You're white and you're telling this to two black police officers.
Yeah.
Do you see the problem with that a little bit?
No, I don't, because you know what? Just because I'm white and I haven't experienced racism myself doesn't mean I can't fight for justice. They're a part of the system. They're a part of the problem. Just because they're black doesn't mean they're not a part of the problem.
Gotcha.
I'm allowed to say this to whoever. Because I'm white, racism is a white person's problem.
Yep.
Racism is my problem. I need to fix it. That's why I'm here talking to all of them. Black, white, brown, purple.
So, speaking of hysterical women, obviously her argument doesn't make a lot of sense because they keep moving the goalposts. At one point, we're told white people are not allowed to say anything about this. Then we're told that this woman says basically only white people in this situation should say anything about it. And we should listen to black people. But then she says we shouldn't listen to those black people. And the key here, I think, is autonomous. You hear it's the autonomous zone in Seattle. It's the autonomous zone in Washington. This is why I think it has to do with liberalism itself. We all want to be autonomous. Liberalism, you're always liberating yourself from the oppressive past. You're becoming more and more autonomous. And we've become so liberated, so autonomous, we've liberated ourselves from ourselves. So this woman can say with a straight face that she is speaking to the black experience in America with greater knowledge than the black people that she's screaming at. That we need an autonomous zone within Washington, D.C., which is a federal zone within the United States. Pretty soon, we're going to have an autonomous zone within an autonomous zone. Actually, we already do. We have an autonomous zone within the autonomous zones, which are the segregated zones, which they're now doing on the basis of race. There is no limit to that. There will be no limit to the victim groups. This is why, as intersectionality has progressed on the left, you've seen it's gone from gay to gay and lesbian, to gay, lesbian, and bisexual, to gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, to LGBTQ. Then there's a Q for queer or questioning. That's LGBTQIA, LMNOP. It goes on. There's no limit. This is why with gender, it's gone from men and women to men and women and intersex to men and women and intersex and transgender to men and women to 56 genders. At least. That was just at last count. Probably there are more now. This will never end. And the more we become autonomous, the more we liberate ourselves, it seems the less relation we have to reality. We've now liberated ourselves into an autonomous fantasy.